Well, I was reading through the PowerPoints and it's like there's a typo. It's like, is this the same drug and you just had a typo, or is this a different drug?
Yeah. It just like makes a lot more sense to me. To the ATI. And Math was gonna go back through like her notes today, but like I think I'm just gonna like keep going through the ATI because I have like just look at like what type of stuff she has offered and then like refer back to the ATI because yeah.
Did you put all the example questions in the
Not the book questions, but the farm made easy questions are all.
I thought that
Yeah.
it was like that. That's nice.
Because
All right, there'll be some more folks coming in, but it's 8, so I want to get started. We got a lot of stuff to get through today. Good morning. 87 is our magic number.
Days.
Days till we can park. Crazy,
Seems
isn't
like
it?
it's so close.
Yep, gets closer and closer. Let's see, for Glenn, the ones that are here, just a reminder that if you want to apply for an IPSO stipend, those are due March 1st. Okay, so just a reminder of that. Everybody's got their studio abroad stuff now from Dr. Moots, I believe, okay?
I haven't finished.
I haven't
Yeah, that's fine.
finished.
Just work on it, but you've got access to it now, right? So
Yeah.
again, just make sure, hey, how are you? Make sure you do it with any questions, but go ahead and get started on that. And a reminder that your engagement project SA1 is due tomorrow night, okay? I'm really happy with what Kelsey and Riley both did, so if you want a model, go in and look at what they did. I thought they did a really great job of it, okay? So upload that through discussions, and let's have those are uploaded by Friday, and then since you have to do 2 responses, you can't really do those by Friday too, because you might not have time to read it. So how about if we have the responses due by Monday? Okay, usually the weekend, and just, just a little comment, hey, a little comment about what they did, but there's really good models in there, okay? Let's see, yep, so those are the announcements, okay. So today we're going to go through 2 things. I'll try to manage the time pretty carefully. I'm sure some of you have 9 o'clock classes you need to get to, so we'll try to get done by that. So I want to go through some of the basic daily routines that we're going to have, so you kind of know some of the generals, and then we're going to take the iron and okay? So let's talk about wake-up and departure, okay? Guys, this can be a problem because we all come from different backgrounds, right? In my world, when it says we're leaving at 8, that conjures up a certain thing in my mind. And maybe your families have a different practice of we're leaving at 8, right? We all have different interpretations of leaving at 8. So we have to come to a consensus of what that means, or else we spend time waiting for people to get on the bus, and all of a sudden it's 10 after, and all of a sudden it's a quarter after, and all of a sudden we lost an hour of our day because we're waiting on people on buses, okay? So we typically do wake-up calls, just tour directors make that decision and they feel more comfortable if they do wake-up calls. And I'll warn you that they usually do them about an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes before departure. So you'll probably get that call. Now, if you want to roll back over and go back to sleep for a little while, that's your decision. But it's important that we get up and we get going in the morning, okay? I would encourage you to eat breakfast every day, all right? So you'll get up and you'll come down for breakfast. So what breakfast is, usually it's a buffet breakfast, typically, okay? Fruit, croissants, meat. They often have meat for breakfast, cheeses, things like that. What I often do is I'll make a little sandwich. I'll take some little baggies with me, and I'll take, because I like the hard rolls, the European rolls, and I'll put some ham and cheese in there and put it in my baggie and take it with me, so that when I'm on the bus and I'm hungry, I've got a little snack right there. All right, so maybe think about that, taking some little baggies along. You'll have some foods that you're not used to eating for breakfast, so try it. I live on Nutella and croissants, though, okay? They do a lot of Nutella over there. So just think about when we say we're leaving at 8, what does that mean, okay? We've had people that come down at 7:53, and they go, oh, I think I'll have some breakfast. And they go through the breakfast line, and we're all sitting on the bus while they're sitting there having breakfast. I gotta tell you, that doesn't work for me, okay? When we say we're leaving at 8, I'm on the bus at 5 till 8, take and roll. At 8 o'clock, the door closes and we're gone, all right? So we have to work together on that. And of course, the problem also is we have another group with us and we don't know what their expectations mean. So I'll work with their GL, their group leader, to make sure that we come to a consensus on what this means, okay? So just get up, get going, and we should be fine. Then we're going to have some things in the itinerary called walking tours versus guided tours, okay? Walking tours are usually between 35 to 45 minutes in length. They're with our tour director, okay? And it's mostly just to acclimate you to where you are and give you landmarks so that when we meet back up, you know where to meet, okay? They're not really educational. It's just to kind of send you around the general vicinity so you know where you're going. When we're in London and Dublin, we will move in a big group. You have to remember that we have 27 and they have 14. So there's over 40 of us that are going to be moving through these walking tours. And we're going to be crossing streets, and lights are going to change. Just because the people in front of you cross the street doesn't mean it's your turn to cross the street. So watch the lights, and if it turns yellow, then you got to stop. They'll wait for us on the other side, and then we'll catch up to them. It's a real challenge to try to get 40 people moving through the cities, okay? So be careful on that. Also, try not to stop and take too many pictures. I know you're going to want to take lots of pictures, but on these walking tours, if everybody's stopping and taking pictures, it just slows the process down. You'll have time to come back on your free time and get those pictures of the red telephone booths and the guards outside Buckingham Palace and all that stuff. So just try to keep the flow moving. I'm a sweeper. I will always be at the back of the group, and I will always be sweeping. Come on, let's go. Nobody gets lost. I'm always the sweeper. Again, watching lights, and remember the traffic goes a different way in London. It's not PSU's campus where the pedestrians have the right of way. Right? You do not have the right of way. They will run over you, so be careful. Then in contrast to that are the group tours, okay, or the guided tours. These are done by paid, local, certified tour guides, okay? These usually last between 2.5 and 3 hours. And oftentimes we will be getting on and off the bus, especially in London, because we have to cover so much ground. So we'll drive someplace, they'll be talking to us over the speaker, we'll get off, they'll talk to us about Buckingham Palace, we'll get back on, and we'll go again. And so we just want to make sure that everybody gets back on, and we will take roll every single time before we leave, okay? So just make sure that you're communicating with your roll call leader. I'm here, we'll give the thumbs up, and we'll get out of there. This is a learning opportunity. Okay, this is where you want to get up next to the tour director and the tour guide. I think we put something in there, Morgan, about that. Ask questions, listen carefully, because they will give you a lot of great local information. Okay. Make sure you thank them at the end of the tour. Okay, just the right thing to do. We used to tip them after those, but they've got the tips taken care of. So just be polite, and I know you will. Okay. Then some free time expectations. You are going to have a good amount of free time. Okay, so what will typically happen is we'll go on one of these guided tours, and then they'll say, okay, see that steeple right there? We're meeting back here in 3 hours. Make sure you're back in 3 hours. Okay, so that free time. I think I mentioned, if not, we will be in groups of no less than 3 people at all times. Nobody goes off on their own. Okay, groups of 3 at all times. That's particularly the case in the large cities. Okay, now when we get Stratford-upon-Avon, or by the end of the trip when we're in Edinburgh and I feel like you are more independent travelers, I may say, okay, it's okay if you want to go off on your own. You're not going to get in trouble in Edinburgh, okay? It's not that big. But I really ask that you respect that rule, because it's just safer for you, okay? Just to be in those groups and kind of keep an eye on each other. Research and plan ahead, know where you're going. And be very mindful of landmarks so you can find your way back. Okay, that's the best way to do it. If you have Google Maps on your phone, if you have access, that works. But you'd have to have data access. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have like a set in stone like itinerary, like on like where we're at, and like the free time?
Yes, ma'am.
Free days? Okay.
And that's going to be the second half of the class today.
Okay.
Is I'll take you through Ireland, and I'll show you. Okay, here's where you're going to have free time. Here's where we're going to be. So here's where you want to start researching.
Okay.
Yes, answer the
Thank
question.
you.
Yeah, you got it. Mm-hmm. Church etiquette. Okay, I know we're going to be in one church in Dublin. We're going to see St. Pat's Cathedral. We will go by St. Paul's Cathedral in London. You might have time to go in, you might not. And I know I'm going to go to Westminster Abbey on one of my free time, because it's one of my favorite places to go, and I want to take my sister to Westminster Abbey. So there's some etiquette that goes on with going in churches. And you need to be thinking about this when you're dressing for the day. If we're going to a church that day, then you need, girls particularly, you need to be thinking about what you're going to wear. Okay, so here are some rules. Some of the churches will allow you to take pictures, some won't. Some will allow you to take pictures with flash, and some won't. So when you go to church, there's going to be a sign there that has, the cross out. So no pictures, no flash photography, so you just need to look at that and abide by the rules, okay? your shoulders must be covered. Okay, this is where you girls, you got to be careful. Some of the churches will have covers, like these little plastic covers right outside the door, and if your shoulders aren't covered, then they'll give you one and you cover your shoulders up before you go in. Safest thing is just to make sure that you have sleeves on the days we go to the churches, okay? No hats, guys, always take your hats off. And some of the churches will not allow you to take bags in, okay? They'll allow little purse bags, but they won't allow backpacks. And so depending on what you are planning on taking to carry your stuff in, on the church days you need to be careful or else you're going to have to go to a separate line, check your bag, come back and stand through the admission line again, and now you've lost a half hour because you got that bag with you. Make sense, everybody? Okay? These are places of worship, and oftentimes there are services going on. It was actually really cool when we were in Notre Dame last time. There was actually a service going on, and the choir processed in. We had to stand there, but it was really cool to hear a live service going on in Notre Dame Cathedral. So, you know, respectful. I just like to sit down and just kind of sit and enjoy the view of the church and amazed at the way it was built. So quiet and reflective time in the churches. Okay, let's talk a little bit about bus travel, etiquette, and rest stops. Questions?
On that, just for girls, sometimes they won't let you come in if you're like, if you're wearing shorts, or if your dresses are like too short.
Yep.
So like just plan to wear like pants or like longer dresses on those
Just
days.
very conservative on the church days. Yeah. Good, thank you, Carol. Guys, we're going to spend a good amount of time on the bus, okay? We're covering a lot of miles. So, you know, just being respectful of people who want to sleep. If they want to sleep, language, I don't think that'll be an issue, but you know, be careful about that. I use it for reflection time, and I also think it's great for discussion time. If we have a 2-hour bus trip, I will probably come back and sit amongst you and talk. You know, what did you see? What did you learn? What are you enjoying? So I think it's a great time to share ideas. I also think journaling is a really good thing to do because you're going to have to write a paper when you get back about the experience, and you're not going to remember everything. So it's a great time to journal while you're riding the bus. Okay? The bathroom on the bus is only for emergencies. Okay? They're very small, not very functional, so we will be stopping periodically when we're on the road. I'll come back and talk about bathroom etiquette and bathroom practices here in a second. The driver usually has water available in the front of the bus, and it's usually €1 or a British pound, whatever country we happen to be in. So they'll announce, hey, there's water up here, and you can just come up and pay and get the water. You can nap occasionally. You know, it kind of depends on where we are on the bus. I can tell you when we're going from Blarney to Dublin, it's like a 2.5-hour drive. There's nothing really interesting there, so that's a great time for a nap. But there's other times when we're driving and the tour directors are actually talking to us, and we need to be learning from what they're saying and not sleeping. Just be chill, and then we're going to stop. The driver rules say they have to stop every 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, it's just the law. So we will stop in rest areas. Go in, they'll say, okay, you got 20 minutes, go in and get a snack, whatever. Make sure you use the bathroom. The rule is always go to the bathroom, even if you don't think you need to, all right? Because there are no free bathrooms in Europe. You're going to pay to go to the bathroom, even in the rest stops, all right? So what often happens is you go up and you purchase something, and they will give you a receipt, and on your receipt is a code. And you go to the bathroom and you enter that code on the door, and it allows you to go into the bathroom. Welcome to Europe, okay? This is why it's important that you just use the restroom anytime you're leaving someplace that you've paid for something, because I think it's a scam myself. You got to buy a coffee to go to the bathroom, which makes you have to go to the bathroom. You know, it's just like this revolving door. Pay attention to time. Get back on the bus when we're ready to roll. We'll take roll and we're out of it. Okay. The roads are a bit scary in Ireland, so I heard Wales is even worse. I've never been to Wales. I've driven in Ireland, and literally it's like 2 pieces of concrete with grass growing in the middle of it, and bushes scraping the side of your car, and sheep walking all over the place. It's crazy. So you'll have a different experience there as well. Okay, we talked about attendance groups here today, but I want to talk to you about walling up. We're only in London where we're going to be on public transportation tubes. But here's the practice, okay? When we get on the subway, we always travel in our roll call groups on this subway. So Audrey's group is together and they all get in the same door when they get on the subway. We will always say we're going 3 stops. We're getting off in 3 stops. We'll give you the name and how many stops it is. Then Audrey's group gets off the subway together and they go across and stand up against the wall because there are people that are just piling off of this thing and you're going to get lost in the shuffle. So we wall up. We just go to the far side and let all the people leave. We take roll and we're gone. Okay? It's just, it works really well. The key is making sure that you get on in your roll call group and you get off in your roll call group. Okay? Yeah, this is the only time I've lost somebody is we had Evan Wilson. I don't remember where we were, but I think we were in Paris and he took off and we're all like, where's Evan? We had no idea where Evan was and he had taken off by himself. And it took us a while to figure out where Evan was. So just really important, even though it's only going to be one city. Okay. European bathrooms. We talked about that a little bit, but I want to give you a little bit more information on this. Depending on where we are, males and females use the same restroom. There's not a male line and a female line. Would you have experienced this at all? So we're all standing in line together. Hey, Laura, how you doing? You know, I walk in, I have my stall, and Lauren has her stall right next to me, and we do our business and we leave. That's just the way it is. The other one that I thought was really interesting, this is usually only in quaint towns, my wife told me about this, but you know those little feet thing in the x-ray thing at the airport, you know, you put your feet down and you hold your hand up and the scanner does you? Well, in the women's restroom, there was feet and a hole in the floor. And that was it. That was the bathroom. So you put your feet on that thing and you squat and you do your business and you're gone. So we need to be, thank you. We need to be prepared for pretty antiquated, prehistoric facilities that we're not used to. Okay. Okay. Paying for bathrooms, you must purchase something. Oh, sometimes there'll be a person monitoring the bathroom, and you will they'll have a little dish there, and you'll throw your coin in that dish and go and use the restroom. Or you can tip them, because their job is to keep the restroom clean for you, so it's always nice to give them a little tip. Yeah, have I scared you enough about bathrooms in Europe? You're really looking forward to it, aren't you?
So what about like in wherever we stay that night, that hotel?
The hotels will be modernized, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're free?
Yes, they're free.
Okay. I was gonna say, man,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money in that.
I know it's something that we just don't think about because we can, and you guys like to drink water too, right? Americans hydrate.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna be, Carol, you've done this, right?
It's the weirdest thing, and like sometimes you won't even have to buy something, but you'll like think it's free because no one tells you. So you walk in the bathroom, and all of a sudden there's like this ATM looking thing. And you like have to put in your money, and then like the carousel lets you walk through. It is the most bizarre thing ever.
I'm glad that you can support what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I went to a McDonald's once, and
Yeah.
like the bathroom it's like a multi-level McDonald's, and it's all at the top floor, and like you try and go up a level, and you can't go up a level until you bought something, and so like every level you had to buy something. So I like bought 3 fries. It was the weird. It's just the
And you had to
weirdest
take
thing.
the fries
and-
into the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom, you've been there too.
Yeah, Italy.
Okay, so, okay. Interesting. I'm sure you will write about it in your essays. All right, meal standards. We are going to have group meals. The first night we're in the city, we typically have a group meal. Usually it is either a served plate where everybody eats the same thing, or especially in Ireland when we were there, they did a fish and chips and it was like family style. They just brought out this huge thing of fish and chips and everybody at the table just shared it around, okay? Buffet, I've never had a buffet on one of these trips before, so it'll be one of those 2 things, okay? I will be taking special dietary need requests as we get closer to departure, so if you want to go vegan or vegetarian or whatever, I'll need to know that ahead of time and they'll have that for you, okay? Water, table water, this is another important European thing. Table water is included, drinks are not, and there's no free refills. So if you order a soda and you finish your soda and you say, I want another one, you're going to pay for that second soda. There's no free refills. Sometimes they will say with gas or without. Okay, sparkling water versus table water. Table water is free, sparkling water is not, you'll pay for it. I don't like water with gas in it myself, okay? So syngas without gas is something they'll sometimes say. So just be aware that you might pay for drinks. Certainly, alcoholic beverages you'll have to pay for. Now, what I ask you to do, just because it's so much easier for checkout time, I've learned this from experience, is when you order a drink, will you just pay for it right then, please? Because what happens is we're all ready to go, and then we got 15 people who've ordered drinks, and they're not paying for the drinks, and I wind up paying for it, or we're standing in line while they're paying for the drink. So if you order a soda, just put the coin down right then, and that way they can take it, and it's done, and we don't have to pay for it when we check out. Does that make sense to everybody? It just helps us move through quicker, okay? Tipping, okay? This is when you're out on your own. Standard for Europe is 10%, okay? Not 20% like we do here, 10%. Okay? Getting your checks. You know, in America, the waiters and waitresses are constantly there asking you if you want things, right? They don't do that in Europe, because Europe eating is an experience. It's not something we hurry through. Meals will last an hour, hour and a half sometimes, okay? You have to get your waiter's attention to bring your ticket. If you want something, you have to ask them to come over, okay? Don't expect them to just come over and check on you all the time.
It's weird because they work on salary. Like here, people work like hourly pay, and you like are like people get lower pay because you assume you're gonna get tips. But there, they like work a salary job, which is like similar to like what a teacher would make here and everything. So they don't necessarily have.
They don't rely on the
Yeah,
tips
they don't
as
rely on
much,
tips.
Some places, this is when you're out amongst yourselves eating, will not split checks. It's common. You need to ask them ahead of time before you go, can you split this check up so we can pay individually? A lot of them won't do it, which means then you're exchanging money with each other, and you're trying to use debit cards and things like that. So just be aware that when you eat in groups, when you're paying on your own, you need to kind of manage that a little bit, okay? Talked about that. Always say please and thank you, and you will get better service, okay? Again, meals are much longer. Just hang out, enjoy your time together. Okay, so we'll have general meals when you're on your own, and we'll have group meals, okay? Alcohol policies. Drinking age in Europe is 18, okay? When you're in Europe, we go by European rules. All I ask is that you keep an eye on each other, that you do it in moderation, and you keep each other in check, okay? I'll have a beer with every meal, I can tell you that. I like having beer in Europe. So just be careful, okay? I had one problem. We were in Paris, and we had 3 guys out, and they wanted to stay in the Latin Quarter, and one of them wanted to stay a little bit longer than the others in the Latin Quarter, and they actually got in a fight, and one of them hit the other one, and this was like 2 o'clock in the morning. The 2 guys came back to the hotel and told me that this other kid had stayed down there by himself at 2 o'clock in the morning in Paris. I wasn't very happy about it, and he finally came back, and we had a little chit-chat, and it was awful. So let's just not put ourselves in that situation. All right? It's just no fun for anybody. All right. Those are some of our daily routines. Questions before we move into the Ireland itinerary? All right. This is Killarney, where we're going to be. Kind of a quaint little village. And actually, I need to back up because that's about. I want you to. I'm going to back up the beginning. I want you to look for differences. Look for differences. It's about the way the cars are parked. Like in the street. Yeah, they're both ways. Some of them are facing. See how they're facing different directions. As long as you're on the street, it doesn't matter which way you're facing. You got to watch out for those things. If you're walking and talking, you will run into those things, and it hurts. Yeah. Very colorful.
So cute.
Isn't it? I love Killarney. It's very, very cute. This is the Ring of Kerry. The Ring of Kerry is not a ring, it's a road. Kerry is a county. And these roads are really interesting. There you go. That's one of the roads. People are walking on it, sheep. The west side of Ireland is very hilly and rocky and antiquated. And And then we make our way to Dublin. Dublin's a little different, isn't it? It's on the sea. It's on the East Coast, big city. Notice the architecture is very different, 16th, 17th century architecture as compared to the west side of the coast. Bridges over the river. But there are still parts of Dublin that are still streety, you know, vendors and shops and stuff like that. Very colorful still. So the cool thing is we get a real contrast between the West Coast and East Coast, very different personalities. So here's what we're doing in Ireland. We will arrive at Shannon. We will load the bus. We will wait for the other group, or they will have waited on us. I've asked for wheels to be down by 10, so we'll put a kind of a timeline in order here, okay? It'll take us about an hour and maybe an hour and a half max to get through customs, to get our baggage, to get on the coach. So if we arrive at 10, my hope is that we're leaving the airport by 11:15 or 11:30. That's the goal, okay? A lot of this is dependent on what time the flights get in. We will drive. The drive from Shannon to Killarney is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So we're going to be on that bus right after getting off of the airplane, and you're really tired, for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay, you're going to want to sleep, aren't you? All right. There's a lot of information that the tour director has to go through during that time, just logistical things. So try to pay attention. Try to stay awake as best you can. Okay. Meet some folks in the other group. This is a great time for us to start meeting some other folks. Okay. I wrote so messy on this. Make sure I read everything. All right, this is really important. This happened to us in Switzerland. Guys, I need you to make sure that you pack what you are going to need for your first day, either on your carry-on or the very top of your suitcase. It's going to be probably 65 to 70 degrees in Kansas City when we leave. And you're going to have shorts and sandals because you want to be comfortable on the airplane. What happens when we arrived in Zurich, it was 45 degrees and rain. And kids had flip-flops on, they had shorts on, and their rain jackets, their warm shoes, their umbrellas were buried in their suitcases. And we went on a tour. We got off the airplane and we went on a tour. And these kids are walking around freezing. So pack it in your suitcase if you want, but make sure you put it in the very top of your suitcase. So all you have to do is open it up, grab the stuff out, put it in your suitcase, and put it back on the bus. Okay? I don't know if we'll go to the hotel first. It depends on where the geography is from airport to city to hotel. So you need to be prepared to go directly into a walking tour. Okay? Again, we might go to the hotel, we might not. The tour director will take us on a short jaunt around to acclimate and then let you explore. So there's your first possible free time, depending on what time this all folds out. But you'll probably have a little bit of time just to kind of walk around. There's nothing really to do in Killarney Historical other than just walk around and shop. And then we will provide dinner for you that night, typically around 5:30. We try to do that dinner pretty early so you can get to bed. Okay, so that's what that first day. Morning is getting through the airport, afternoon is walking and checking the hotel and dinner. Okay, any questions about first day? All right. Tuesday, the 19th, breakfast, depart, tour, and we'll go on the Ring of Kerry. This will be a bus trip around the Ring of Kerry. We'll stop at a place called the Kerry Bog Village, which I've never been to before. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that. And we will be on and off the bus, I'm sure, or as we go around that ring. It should take us about 3 hours to drive the ring by the time we stop. But you're going to see the southern coast and you're going to see the west coast of Ireland. Just take in the beauty. Then we'll come back after that and they'll release you and you'll have the rest of that afternoon in Killarney just to do what you want to do, shop around, okay? A little free time there. You're on your own for dinner that night. So there's a meal that you need to be thinking about financially, okay? Enjoy the town because you're leaving the next morning, all right? So that'll be it for Killarney. My favorite things to do in Killarney, because I have been there, is Guinness beef stew. They have a lot of beef stew. It's very hearty. It's made with Guinness beer in the sauce. And it's got potatoes and carrots and real thick sauce, so make sure you have a little Guinness beef stew while you're there. Another real common meal over there is called shepherd's pie. Okay, very, very popular in that part. It's got a lot of meat to it, a lot of heart, party stuff. And then, yeah, remember that they drive on the wrong side of the road, so be careful as you're crossing streets. All right, Wednesday the 20th. We're moving, okay? Guys, you always need to pack your suitcases the night before we leave, okay? That way we aren't messing with it in the morning. So that night, Tuesday night, you're gonna be packing up. Wednesday morning, we're gonna get up, we're gonna have breakfast, we're gonna depart, and we're gonna drive to Blarney. MapQuest says it's about an hour drive from Killarney to Blarney. Or says that 3 times. There we will see a few sites, including the Blarney Castle and kissing the Blarney Stone. Okay, so you might Google that a little bit to see what that's going to look like. It looks very uncomfortable to me, but I guess we'll do it. It's likely that they will turn you loose in Blarney for lunch. I'm guessing that'll be what happened because we've got a long drive ahead of us. So drive, look around Blarney, eat lunch, back on the bus, and then we'll drive from Blarney to Dublin, which MapQuest says is about 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay, so a little nap time probably there. When we get to Dublin, we're on our way to Dublin, we'll check into the hotel. Dinner will be provided that night for you. We always provide dinner the first night. And the rest of your evening will be on your own. Now, I haven't gotten our hotels yet. Once I get the hotels, I'll be able to look geographically where they are, how close they are to the city.
That'll help for the
What's that?
That'll help for like finding
It
stuff.
will, yeah. EF is pretty good with the college study tour about keeping it pretty simply located because they know that we like to go out and explore the city. You know, high school groups, they tend to put farther out. So I will eventually be able to give you the location of the hotels and more research. Okay? So, you know, enjoy. It's a totally different vibe. Dublin is a big city. You know, I've tried to find something American to compare it to. It's definitely not New York City. It's really not even Chicago. I'd say it's more Kansas City, like, you know, somewhat industrial, but it's not huge. You know, it's not too bad to get around. So on Thursday morning, then we will get up and we will do a guided tour. A guided tour, meaning somebody's going to take us around and show us all of these things. Last 3.5 hours probably. Book of Kells at Trinity College. We'll go to the cathedral. That would be the day, girls. You want to make a note that you want to dress appropriately that day. Okay, that is Thursday the 21st is when that is. So we'll do that in the morning. Then they'll turn you loose for the rest of the day. You're on your own for lunch. You go around Dublin, do what you want to do. You're on your own for dinner. You're on your own to get back to the hotel. You're on your own to get to bed at a decent time. Pack your suitcase, because we're leaving the next day. Jade?
Do we have like a specific vicinity we need to stay in, like, or can we just,
As long as you can get back.
As long as you can get back.
cool?
How's that? Carson?
When we visit the churches, are we just kind of looking around the inside, or are we ever gonna like catch a mass or something?
We purposely don't catch a mass, okay? I can tell you that on previous trips, I have had a number of times, pretty much every time, Catholics who have sought out and attended mass. Notre Dame, how cool is that? Of course, you can't do that now. But yeah, they oftentimes will seek that out on the Sundays or Saturday nights and go to mass or something. But our purpose is to go in and look at the architecture, okay? Because we may walk into something, okay? That's a great question. Things I like in Dublin. On the west side, it's all that beef stew and all that because it's really cold on the west side of Ireland. The other side, we're against the sea, so fish and chips is awesome in Dublin. Okay, so I like to eat fish and chips. Guinness beef stew, of course. I have that everywhere. There are lots of museums. I did the top 20 things to do in Dublin, and I bet 70 of them are museums. There's all kinds of museums. Take your student IDs. Make sure you have your PSU student IDs because you can get them cheaper or free.
So Leland will not get that, or would he be?
Does he still have his PSU?
Oh, yeah, they don't know.
They don't know the difference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he shredded it.
He should borrow one
Okay.
from somebody, okay?
Sounds good.
There's a lot of art galleries. There's hop-on and hop-off tours. I think it was €21, where you can just get off where you want to go. It's an easier way to get around the city rather than paying for Ubers or cabs or anything like that. And there's the Guinness factory where they make Guinness beer, and I am a certified Guinness pourer, just so you know. I wanted to show you that, 2013. So you go through a tour and they show you how the beer is made, and then you go up to the top floor and you get to pour your own Guinness, and they give you a certificate and everything. I'm damn proud of that. I can teach you if you really want to know. So those are things to do while you're there. Then Friday, we are at May 20. Oh wait, we missed Jaden's. Have we missed Jaden's birthday yet?
No, it's 24th.
Okay. Pack, because Friday morning we're leaving. So we will get up, we will have breakfast, we will pack the bus, we will leave, and we will drive from Dublin to a place called Holyhead. No, that's across the side, to a port where we grab a ferry, and we take the ferry across the North Sea to Holyhead. Okay? Okay. I wanted to make sure I got through it. Now, any questions about any of that stuff? No questions, dumb question. Yes, sir.
How available our laundry system be for washing clothes if we need to? I don't know.
I've never had anybody do laundry on a
Cool.
trip before.
All right. I just wondered.
Yeah. I'm going to talk at one of the sessions, I think it's the next one, about personal responsibilities, and in that we'll talk about packing, what I suggest you take and how, and things like that. So I assume that you could probably find it if you really needed to, but I've never had anybody do laundry.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Allie?
Don't we have a checked bag and a carry-on?
Yeah.
Because
And
in
for-
high school, I went on a 12-day trip with just a carry-on, and it was perfectly fine.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that I will see girls just have a carry-on. Like, how do you do that
Yeah.
for 12 days? We're gonna re-wear clothes. I take 2 pairs of pants and I just alternate every Because nobody gives a damn what I look like,
Jeans.
especially me. I care less.
Do you know what the climate is like?
Yep.
When we're gonna be there?
Yep, you look outside, no, it's not quite as bad as this, but I was thinking that this morning, and I'll have a chart of all the highs, average highs and lows and rainfall days, that'll come a little bit later. But my experience in Ireland has been very much like what it is right now. A lot of rain, 50s.
It's a little warmer.
A little warmer, not today, but this kind of time of year that we've kind of been dealing with, you know. I will tell you that we went on our golf trip to Ireland. It was the first golf tour we did. And we were on the west coast at Ballybunion, and I literally, there were holes when I had just a short sleeve shirt on and I was hot. And 20 minutes later, I had my rain gear and a stocking hat on, and the wind was blowing 40 miles an hour with rain. I mean, it changes just like that. And so particularly when we're in Ireland, you need to be really flexibility, I don't know, because it can change like a heartbeat. And that's why it's so important for you to be thinking ahead when you pack that bag. When we get off that airplane, we have no idea what that weather's going to be like. And I don't want you suffering. So as we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to see what the projected weather is. What other questions? Morgan?
So are we gonna have like an itinerary, like I know we have this one, but like are we gonna have one that is gonna have times on it?
What they'll do, Morgan, and that doesn't suit
Yeah, I
very well
like
with you, does it? What they typically do is the tour directors, there'll be a whiteboard in the hotel lobby, and the night before, they will put the agenda for the next day with approximate times. You know, 8:15 departure, walking tour, 10:30 free time, so that's when you'll get that. But before we go, no, this is what you get, okay? Because, you know, we're making decisions all along. You know, maybe the walking tour takes a little bit longer than we expected. So myself and the tour director will get together and we'll say, okay, we need a little bit more time here, so let's push that departure time a half hour because I want the kids to have a little bit more time. So it's just pretty flexible. You know? Probably the only thing that's true is the departure time. And then from then on, we're just making things up as we go. Yeah, this will be a good learning experience for you.
Oh, yeah. Very different from my family vacations.
What else? Excited? Ireland's pretty cool. Literally. Yes?
Okay, you talked about earlier what like leaving times look like. So if you say we're leaving at 8, do you want us down there 10 minutes early or like?
It'll take us a while to come to grips with this. First day, I'm usually pretty stressed out the first couple of days. But I gotta tell you, in my mind, when I say we're leaving at 8, the bus door closes and we're rolling at 8. So whatever that means to you, you know, if you're coming out, I mean, I got so you guys remember Peyton Carnegie?
Yes.
Peyton operated on his own schedule. The whole trip he operated on. And I love the kids, so don't misinterpret. I love Peyton. And God dang, he'd come downstairs at like 3 till 8 and start going to the breakfast line. Like Peyton. One day we were in Portugal. And he just starts taking off all by himself. I'm like, Peyton, where are you going? Well, I was going to walk down to the beach. Peyton, it's 5 miles to the beach. It's 5 miles to the beach. No, I'm a runner. I'll be okay. I'm like, no. Seriously. How did I get off on that subject?
I was asking what time.
Oh, yeah, about what time leaving. Yeah. So the key is what the other group does, because I can control this group. The other frustration we had on our Eastern Europe trip is I had 2 other groups with me. And the group leaders did not know the people in their groups because it was an online class of 35 people. They literally met each other at the airport when they're going on the plane. Is that crazy? I know,
Yes.
that's just stupid. And so I had this process. I mean, I had like 30 people. I could take roll like that. And we get on the bus and the tour director would say, okay, we ready to go? And the dude would be sitting there and I'm like, do you have your people? Oh, I don't know. And he would start taking roll then. And he didn't even know their names. And I was like, seriously, dude? So I had a little chat with the tour director and said, this behavior's got to change. You know, you're impeding on our experience here. So hopefully, I mean, I will meet the guy via phone before we go, and I'll talk to him about our expectations, the other group leaders when I'm talking about OSU, and how I like to operate and what I expect of their group to maximize it. And he's never done this before, so I'm guessing he'll kind of go with that for you. So yes, 8 means we're rolling at 8. Okay, is that cool? My dad was a high school band director, so I was always there a half hour early, always. Carson's little brother got into the honors college. I think it's awesome.
really?
I got his contract today. And Taylor, I haven't got your sister's contract
She
yet.
signed it on Monday.
Good. Yeah, so that's exciting. Good. Okay,
He was
Carson.
so stressed out because the scanner broke. Anyway, he obviously got put out. But I have another question about the churches.
Uh-huh.
So you said we need to like dress moderately or whatever. but-
Conservatively, yeah.
And so, do we like? Is that like jeans and a nicer top, or is it like I could wear like a sweatshirt and jeans or?
Yeah, jeans and a sweatshirt. I mean, this is fine. What they don't want to see is they don't want to see a lot of legs and they don't want to see bare shoulders.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, you don't have to dress up by any stretch of the imagination. You just need to have your skin covered.
Got it.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hats off, quiet, reflective. Yeah.
So are short sleeves good for church?
Short sleeves are okay, yeah. We just don't want like spaghetti straps and things like that. These are good questions.
You can still wear a spaghetti strap, like I did one day. I just like had a jacket that I brought with me like threw over. So it's not like they don't want to see it at all. You just have to.
Yeah, we stick that. Okay, does this help? All right. Make sure you get your engagement essays done, please. You want to have to be hounding people for that. And we will meet again March. It's the week after spring break is my plan. I think did I send out those target dates? I think I did, didn't I?
Yes.
So you can kind of pigeonhole those. Let's see what the topics will be real quick before I let you go. The topics for class 3 are going to be currency exchange and ATM usage, packing, clothing, power adapters, debit cards, credit cards, international phone plans, medicine and insurance, and Wales and London itinerary. That'll be a lot. Yeah. Okay? Good, thanks guys. Have a good day. Okay? By the way, 7 o'clock will not be on the when to meet choices anymore. So, I realized I got here and the library wasn't even open yet. I was like, well, that would have been fun. Ciao.